second. Okay.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, hope everyone has a nice new year, safe, happy, and healthy. Amen.
Amen.
Can I borrow a pen?
Like a lot of them, don't I?
Anyone? That's good. Thank you.
Roll call, I guess I'm waiting for.
Oh, I'm sorry. Trustee, Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Beck.
Here.
Mr. Bryant.
Here.
I move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
I move approval of minutes, special meeting minutes from November 29th, 2022.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Lees.
Aye.
Mr. Beck.
Aye.
Mr. Bryant.
Aye.
Fiscal officers report, there's none. Presentations, there's none. Public hearing, there's none. New business. Discussion concerning the possible purchase of flock cameras to be used by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Want to tee that up?
So I don't know how much you've been told about flock cameras, but flock cameras are essentially license plate readers, like the license plate readers we used to have on our vehicles. And those, we're moving to a new system, essentially. These are fixed location cameras. These are not red light cameras. These are not speed cameras. These are not an enforcement tool. These are simply an investigative tool. They record vehicle images and license plate images, and then those go into a searchable database. And what's really nice about this is that database is much more robust. It has a lot more capabilities than the old system we used to use. So I brought along Captain Brian Stapleton. He's with our organized crime division, and then before that he was in CIS, and he's kind of headed up this project, so he's really our expert on the cameras and their capabilities.
Okay.
And Brian actually used to work over here, but
Oh,
a long
yay.
time ago. He was in the old building over here.
Well, welcome back.
Welcome back.
That was a couple weeks.
It's good to be back.
Couple
It's
weeks
definitely a
ago.
nice area. So, do you want to stand up and tell us about them?
Sure.
Okay.
I appreciate the partnership with the Sheriff's Department. This is a big initiative for the Sheriff's Department to move to the fixed mount license plate reader cameras. The best way I can explain it is these cameras work 24/7 compared to the vehicle mounted cameras, which work only when that cruiser is out being driven by a certified officer. As Lieutenant Tarr said, these are not speed cameras, they're not enforcement cameras, they cannot be changed to become speed cameras or anything that cites our citizens autonomously. These are investigative tools. We use those to look for missing persons, we use them to look for wanted persons, we use them to identify cars that are in problem areas. If we have residential neighborhoods that are experiencing a high volume of thefts, we can use those cameras to identify coming and goings and look at cars in that direction. So it really has filled a big void that the Sheriff's Department had in our investigative tools. So it is a great resource that we've picked up. The ease of use, the system itself, as Lieutenant Tarr mentioned, is much larger. It's much easier to use. The intelligence, the AI that flock cameras use is light years ahead of the technology that we currently had. So partnering with Symmes Township, also with some of the other townships that are getting on board, is a fantastic opportunity for the Sheriff's Department, and we really appreciate it. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I have a couple questions. So the ones in the car, they were free, right? They were just part of the car, and we didn't have to pay. The township didn't
So
have
some
to
of the
pay.
townships paid. You guys, as far as I know, you guys did not have one. Like Sycamore had 2 LPR cars. Anderson, I know, had at least 1. So we had some county camera cars, kind of like we have some flock cameras right now. Cap, how many cameras do we have out now?
The Sheriff's Department has 25, and we're adding to that number as well.
But some of the townships did have them. I was talking to Captain Smith yesterday when we were talking about this meeting. He did not think that you guys ever had a camera car.
So where are your 25 cameras that you have now?
So what we did is with our patrol districts, we divided them up as best we could. So we have 6 of them that were assigned to Lieutenant Tarr here in District 3, and 3 of our other patrol districts got 6, 1 got 7. Headquarters got the extra camera because of the amount of area that it covers from the far west edge of the county over to the village of Lincoln Heights. So they did get an extra camera in there. So we're looking to add to our number this year with portable cameras that we could use for hotspots, and this is on the sheriff's department side of it, not yours.
So
Yep.
does Sim have any flock cameras now?
Yes, you have one right now at Gregory and Fields Erdel. We were gonna put one, there was one other location we were gonna use, and there was a problem with the pole mount there, wasn't there?
Yes.
Outside of, on Mason
Mason,
Road.
yeah, Mason Montgomery, yeah.
Yeah, it just didn't, the location didn't work.
Okay.
So you have control over 6 cameras?
Yes, but the nice thing about this too is we have access to any agency that allows us access to their cameras, correct?
That's
So
correct.
Oh,
our officers,
but you have access to 6. Where are those 6?
so the one on Gregory here,
Okay.
and then 4 down around the town center, 1 on Fields Erdel, just west of here. And
In Sycamore Township?
yeah,
So
how
you've got
many-
5 of them in Sycamore Township and 1 in
Yeah.
Symmes? Okay.
the town center, with what we had limited wise, the town center was our first main concern, so we kind of peppered that.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on at that town center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so you are recommending 12?
Yeah, I think that's what we talked about.
We had
identified
originally
12
10, and then I
locations.
think when Kim and I spoke, and these were preliminary locations that we were looking at. Obviously, before we mounted any cameras, we would meet with Captain Stapleton's people, Captain Minnick in CIS, and Captain Aru in the intelligence unit, and kind of look for any obvious hotspots that they would see.
Okay, so if 12 is like the ideal, what is the minimum? So if 12 is like your goal, what is the minimum Symmes Township could have?
That's really up to you as a township.
All right.
Well, I was thinking at least Fields Erdel, like right at, like when you come off 71.
Expressway.
At least at least at the expressway. And then when you come off 275, but you're probably gonna have to put them in, because those two, you get getting in, getting off or whatever, you probably have to put them in 2 different locations right there on.
At
Loveland
each
here.
entrance or exit to the
So we're
township?
roughly
three.
You
Yeah.
need 2, is that right?
I'm sorry?
Do you need 1 or 2 at each
So
entrance
each
exit?
one of these cameras can only cover 2 lanes of one direction traffic.
Right.
Okay.
So if you're
So you
gonna
need
cover-
1 in each direction?
Yeah, you would
Right.
need to
Okay.
cover.
Yes,
the
at a
neighborhood.
certain location if you wanted to get through those. Now, I know
Right.
Loveland is putting some cameras out. I haven't spoken, I don't think they've come up with their locations yet, but there could be some spots if we worked in conjunction with Loveland, where we could.
That begs the question, they're actually in 3 different counties. Are all 3 counties participating, or is everything Hamilton County?
These cameras are nationwide. We currently have access to 2,700 cameras.
Okay.
And they cover a lot of the state of Ohio, so they're here in Hamilton County. They're east, over in Claremont County has several. Up north to Montgomery County, through
Okay.
Middletown, that area is covered in cameras as well.
All right. So you answered part of my question. It looks like both Hamilton County and Claremont County.
Yes.
Of which Loveland, but not Warren County?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. I know there was talks of adding some in the Deerfield area, which is obviously your neighbor.
Okay.
But I don't know for sure if they ever did or not. That would be something we'd have to talk to them or to Flock about to see where they're at.
And why is it 2,500 per year?
Yeah,
If we're
per
buying the
camera.
camera, why do we have
It's a
to?
subscription, you're not buying any equipment.
It's a service.
And
Yeah,
they-
it's a
they do-
service.
It's their camera.
Do you see it going down as the
Well-
more you get, or like with technology, you know
I
what I
would
mean?
guess that maintenance is included in that. so-
Kim, yeah, I'm gonna have to defer to you on that. I know you.
Yeah,
dropped
I don't know. I mean, you're right, technology does go down as it becomes more main
Yeah,
spread.
this is probably 4th generation, starting from what you had.
I can tell you historically, over the last 3 years since I've been looking at this system before the sheriff's department moved to purchase them, they've been $2,500 per year,
Oh.
each one of those 3
For
years.
Okay.
So they've been historically pretty close to the same price. But
Okay.
the good thing is that with looking at the camera, that is a solar powered camera, so it's not connected to, it doesn't have to be connected to the power grid. It handles the cell signal, the data, where it sends it from that camera to their software to be able to load it in the program. So just thinking of your basic cell phone cost per month to get that data, that unlimited package where you're sending it, you know, you're talking 50, 60 bucks a month per phone. And they're basically working off that same technology that they have there and adding the service. They do winterization, they do moving of the cameras if there's an issue with the light getting to the power. So as far as service after the sale and cost benefit, really Flock is head and shoulders above where we were at before with Vigilant. Those cameras went up to close to $12,000 a year per car. So we're able to get a lot more bang for the buck using Flock than we were getting from Vigilant before.
So is the sheriff's department going to continue to buy these every year? So the more, you know, the further down the road, the more you're going to own?
Our goal as an agency was to get the 50 cameras that the sheriff's department owns, and then using our partnership with the townships to add to that number. To give you an idea of a similar sized area, Blue Ash is now up to just under 50. I think they have 48 cameras that are just in Blue Ash. So
They were one of the first around here, weren't they, Captain?
So they have 40 cameras and they're charging $2,500 a pop for each camera? Ooh.
yeah, but the resource,
$100,000 a year.
you know, when it closes a homicide, when it closes serious cases, you know, we look at that as, you know,
Right.
the ROI on that
That's a win.
is
Yeah,
worth it.
absolutely.
Well, this database is very user-friendly, and the guys have access to it in the car. So, like in Symmes Township's case, if there's a particular car we're looking for here, the guys can create their own search for that and create an alert, and it'll let them know, you know, if any of that car passes, not just any of your cameras, but any
Okay.
Flock cameras that are around.
So the Flock method really says that any car that drives by this location has a photograph taken.
Yes.
And it's uploaded to the system, the cloud or whatever.
That's correct.
Okay, and then you don't really look at that at all unless you're looking for something and you program it to search for a particular item.
Right.
Correct, and you would have to, in a search, you have to categorize why you're searching for that vehicle. You couldn't randomly just search for a vehicle.
Well, I can list my concerns. Number one, hit on cost, okay? And I'm thinking that as you grow a system, if we had one, let's say, on Montgomery Road at Kemper and Montgomery or something, that makes a lot of sense for Symmes Township because of a highly traffic area and so on.
Right.
But as these other communities around us start adding, now you're going to have 5 or 6 down Montgomery Road, and isn't it going to be repetitive? And here we are up front paying for this, that somebody else is going to go free on?
That,
It is a
Go ahead.
good point. I understand. The best case scenario for us as law enforcement officers is they do add those cameras. Because getting that coverage in between, one, shows us direction. I'll give you an example. Let's say that there is a person wanted for a robbery, and they hit a camera at Montgomery Road and Galbraith down in Sycamore Township. And then we don't have another camera to Kemper Road and Montgomery until you go south into Silverton before you pick up another camera.
Okay.
So giving us direction on which way they're going, plus you're adding all those businesses and things in between the residences that may have their own individual problems to pick up those cameras to get more information.
Okay.
The object is to get as many tags into the system, which the system, by the way, just so you're aware, is a 30-day retention period. So this is not, it doesn't historically categorize your travels.
Okay.
30 days in a purchase.
So every day drops off, a new day
That's
adds
correct.
on. So it's a rolling 30 days.
30 days, that's
Okay.
correct.
All right.
And then Ken, too, we will work with our neighbors to see where they plan to put their cameras. That's why Mike and I will want to sit down with the new chief in Loveland and figure out where he plans to put his cameras so that we can strategically put our cameras in another location that helps him and helps us, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then we could sit down and with Deerfield and do the same thing, Montgomery,
Okay.
Indian Hill, we could all work together to make it all work.
Yeah.
And you can review it maybe every couple years.
Yeah,
because
because maybe we
Right.
might not need
we
one.
might add a
And
Right, or delete.
tractor.
I'm
Yeah.
even in favor of that, but I don't want to go way overboard up front
Oh,
if
yeah.
we add to it piecemeal.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And,
That sounds a lot more palatable to me than,
but if you think of using the number 12, that really gives you 6 locations. Unless you're talking about,
okay.
a 1-lane road.
Yeah, one camera on Montgomery Road is only gonna capture one or
Two
two
la- two
lanes.
lanes of traffic,
Yeah,
right.
so you're only getting.
Understand that.
outbound or inbound.
But on a road like Lebanon, we're gonna catch both lanes.
Yes,
So
and
we
that's-
can be
Oh, you
and that's-
strategic in that
You can in
respect.
both directions?
I believe so.
The only problem with it now is the change in state law
Yeah.
that does not require front license plates. So
Yes.
if the car's coming at the camera and there's no tag for it to read,
Okay.
you're just not going to get it. It's
But-
not going
So
to
the
spin.
camera's going to be shooting both
Yes,
directions
yeah.
out of the same box
In
kind
our-
of thing? Okay.
It'll be separated on either side of the street. So they have to be within a certain height and width away from the road for the camera to catch it, to catch the license plate. So
I'm confused there whether it's one or two cameras. Is it one camera will do both sides of the street?
one camera will do 2 lanes heading the same direction.
Okay.
So if
So
if
you
wanna
actually have
cover-
to have 2 cameras to get,
Yes, I think what
Okay.
he was saying was with, like, take a 2-lane road.
Yes.
It's gonna get both of those lanes, but the oncoming traffic, you're only gonna get cars that have a front plate.
got it.
But, which we're seeing fewer and fewer of.
Okay. How many entrances and exits do we need to cover in Symmes Township? We
Well,
got
I
12
think-
cameras at 6 locations?
Yeah, I think at a bare minimum, you at least need 2 at Fields Erdel, 2 at Loveland Madeira. I think you need, maybe 1 at Montgomery Road coming southbound. You would need probably 1 in Camp Dennison, and that would cover both
Thank you.
lanes.
I was wondering about that.
Yep, 1 on North Lebanon at, near the park, because we tend to have a lot of issues with Symmes Park especially. So I figured if you face the camera towards the park, or figure out some way where you could get because either way you turn, you're gonna get it if you put it in a certain location. I don't know if you face it this way or this way, but, what am I up to, 6, 7?
That was 5.
That was 6, I thought.
I think it was 7.
I thought I had 7.
Oh,
but-
I meant locations. I think 5
Okay.
locations.
I think we're good with 7 for this year. I'm okay with 7. Let's start slow. See what
But
we
she
got.
just mentioned 5.
But she
Looking at
counted how many
the,
cameras do you need?
That's what I would do bare minimum.
what, 8,
7
7.
cam.
7 cameras?
7 cameras.
I could swing for 8. I think you're gonna need 2 directions on most of these, so you're gonna, 8 cameras is only 4 locations. How many we got coming in and out of township? We got-
But you also have to remember they're gonna work, we can't say where we're gonna, because what if Loveland puts it down there too, so we don't
Right,
necessarily.
that's what I'm
Well,
I
we're
mean,
not
if
gonna
we
duplicate.
start with 7 or 8 cameras this year, and then we see where Indian Hill is, if Deerfield joins in, we
Right.
might be able to put them
Okay.
different places. I just
Right.
think,
Yeah, we can
I
move
prefer to
these,
start
right?
slow and build up.
Yes, and can you speak to that a little bit, Captain? We
Yeah,
spoke
so
about this
the
before.
cameras can be moved through the maintenance agreement. Through our maintenance agreement, we can move them once per year. Any issues that come up with the camera is covered in the maintenance agreement, bad batteries, bad solar panel.
Okay.
The camera gets moved because of wind or whatever. They come out and handle that with
All right.
maintenance. Now, if the camera is damaged due to vandalism, there is a charge that comes into that, but you'd have to refer to your specific contract to see what that cost is.
And also,
Somewhere $300 to $500 generally.
the captain mentioned that the county will be purchasing some portable cameras. So if we had a neighborhood that was getting, I remember 2 summers ago when we were just getting all the vehicles broken into and the cars stolen, if we had a neighborhood where we're getting hit like that, we can bring in the county's portable. They're thinking about using those for hotspots, so if we had an area, we could borrow those for a little bit.
And I did ask the question during the meeting too, that if any HOAs were interested in purchasing their own, like paying for a subscription for their own neighborhood.
Right.
That, and Flock told me that they would do that.
You'd integrate it into your system, is what you're really saying.
Yeah,
And
that
they pay
is
for it.
how their business
Yeah.
model started.
Okay.
Right,
was
oh,
with
for neighborhoods?
HOAs, yeah.
Oh, okay.
What was
Because
that?
I figured we might have some HOAs that would
Well-
want to pay that.
I can think of two off the top that only have one entrance or
Right,
exit.
exactly, and
Yeah.
that'd be, you know, you can cover an entire neighborhood by putting one camera.
Right.
There's a number of your neighborhoods like that, or
Right.
even if you just had two.
Well, Calumet, where I live,
Yeah.
I'm thinking Chatham Woods is another one. In
Yep.
other words,
Misty
one-
Moore?
One entrance, exit kind of
What
thing.
about Misty Moore?
Hmm?
That's about one in, one out?
Misty Moore, yes.
Okay.
Your
So,
neighborhood.
Are we doing 7 or 8?
Well,
I was
I'm
curious
willing
about
to
hot
wait.
spots, like crime hot spots within the township. Do we have, like, what are those current hot spots?
By Coles?
Fields are.
Your business areas.
Yeah,
you know,
Fields
your
are
most-
on Montgomery Road,
the-
Love
If you're looking for one crime that is your biggest, it's gonna be retail theft, things like that. So any of your business areas are gonna be, or retail areas are gonna be good locations.
It used to be, we
And
had a hotel on
Yeah.
Mason Montgomery that I have not heard much about in a recent,
No, and
Years
that
or
was a
months.
change in management. So we have seen a severe reduction in calls for service at that location.
You said
Yeah, but
Montgomery-
that
you
would
said
be like
Montgomery?
on the off
Mason
ramp and on
Montgomery.
ramp
Oh,
of
okay, yeah.
71, so we'd covered anyway, right? That
You covered
Hotel, yeah.
Let's check.
Okay.
These are good.
Thoughts?
so that particular location I'm speaking of, I mean, I'd be interested in making sure we do have coverage
Mason,
for that business.
Okay.
Mason, Montgomery, in Symmes?
I don't know how
Or
we do
in
that with
Deerfield?
some of the places that you named off.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can.
Across Fields
Take
Earl
care
Road
of
is
those.
out of your jurisdiction, right? So
Where'd you
that's
say again? Mason
Deerfield. I'm
Montgomery
thinking
where?
of a hotel
At-
up there, whereas you guys are
Thinking
probably
of
where?
thinking
Hotel there?
Okay.
Red Roof.
Yeah.
Used to
Is it
be
Red?
Signature or something for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it Red Roof now? I don't know.
And that was, what was the problem we ran into in that location, Captain?
The problem was with the setback, because of the way that ramp came off and the width of the road where we were trying to go, and I think it was at a Firestone or something there.
It's a,
The Firestone.
It's a tire.
no, and now I'm not gonna be able to think of it.
Michael
But-
Tire.
Yes, thank you.
Michael Tires.
There was an issue with the easement and right of way there, but because we had so few cameras, there were so many other locations to absorb it. We didn't dig too far into the issue with the placement. We just moved it to one of the other locations that needed it.
So it only can do 2 lanes at a time? Like you couldn't stick it on the highway if it's a 4-lane highway?
In
You have to
ODOT.
do one on each side?
The
can't
ODOT
do
will
it.
not allow it on the highways itself. They're currently not allowing that. It's in the works to change it, but the way it was explained to me is when the administrative code was written to allow, to make sure that speed cameras were not installed on an interstate, they wrote that administrative code so wide that it prohibited any other camera installation on the highway. So currently trying to work to get that resolved at a much higher level than the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. But if you think about that, where you're driving past the Artemis signs and it says Amber Alert or critical missing, and it's great that you read it, but wouldn't it be fantastic if there was a camera mounted on the backside that just told
and
you
you mean
if
there
that car
isn't?
drove past it? I mean, it
You
would be,
mean, is Ohio
I would
unique in
think
that
that would be
situation?
No.
a priority.
and they're not.
If you look at, watch FBI or
highway.
something on TV,
Yeah.
they're already tracking film footage going through toll booths
Jody,
and everything else going down.
To kind of answer your question, because we did look at this in Sycamore, like to get an intersection like Kenwood and Montgomery, I think we were up to like, it was more than 10 cameras.
Oh,
Just to get, because, I mean, think of Montgomery Road right there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's up to 6 or
8
7 lanes,
Probably,
depending
yeah.
on where you are. So
Right.
you would need multiple cameras just to get one, like inbound of one road.
So you
Or you
mentioned
could put
there
it in a
were-
strategic location on Kemper to get 2 lanes. Like if you didn't set it at the intersection, but you set it further off.
Right.
Then you could reduce the amount of
Right, and
cameras.
we
that you
did.
need.
Right.
That's the way we went, but just when you're thinking about the total number, just keep in the back of your head, it really does benefit to have that even number of cameras, because generally in most locations, even if it's a 2-lane road, that's 2 cameras. So if you came up with 5 locations you want these cameras, that's 10, you know, to get that area covered, so.
Can we talk about vandalism for a second? You guys said that there's a cost associated with vandalism. Do we advertise where these things are? How do vandals know where they are?
They're not, but just like anything else, we've not had an issue, knock on wood, to this point,
Okay.
with any vandalism. But you can imagine if they were in a high crime area and people knew what they were, eventually, you know, they would start spinning the cameras or painting them or hitting them with paintballs or whatever it could be to try to limit them. But
The average person that drives by them is not going to know.
Yes.
They're pretty discreet, if you will,
Right.
especially at some of these, I mean, there's just so much stuff at intersections these days anyway.
Okay.
It doesn't scream out camera, you know, there's not a big sign on it. So.
Kim, where, I don't need to know specifics, but are we only talking one in Camp Dennison that's only going to take into consideration one direction?
Well, camp is only 2 lanes, so you would only
But
need
if you don't have a
one.
front license plate, the direction it's pointed in, it's only
True,
going to
so
pick
if you
up one.
truly want to cover, I would put one at the entrance and one at the, like, exit, like, one on either end,
Yeah.
getting one of them
Um,
going
But
this way at
versus,
the end.
you
and-
might, because Indian Hill might be hitting one angle.
True.
That's
And-
true. We can
and
go
is it
piggyback or
Marymount
something
that's
with
next to
them.
it? Marymount might be hitting.
Columbia Township,
Columbia
yeah,
Township,
Columbia
maybe.
Township.
So it all
and then
depends
Milford
on
might.
working
yeah,
with other agencies and seeing
To-
what.
Right.
To Phil's
What makes
point
sense.
earlier, talking about high crime areas, would you consider Camp Dennison a high crime area?
No.
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 Okay. All right.
So you mentioned there
we
were
have
other,
crime.
there are other
but it's not a
service
high crime.
providers other
Very
than
little
Flock?
crime.
Not if you're looking
we-
at like the monthly reports, we're not, you know, we're seeing a few incidents down there, generally, you know,
It's big
family
fun.
related.
I'm down there like every day now.
we
But
did
Flock is the
use-
least expensive?
That is the least expensive of the ALPR systems that we've vetted. Now, we were using Vigilant before, and we still do have an existing contract with Vigilant through the sheriff's office. But what we found is the ease of use, the amount of data that we're getting comparatively with the fixed camera versus the mobile. And when you start to break down that you can get 4 to 6 fixed mount cameras for the cost of one mobile ALPR, the amount of data we're going to get out of those 6 cameras when we place them at locations that are high traffic, high volume areas, we get significantly more data, more bang for the buck that we're getting with fixed mount than we're getting with mobile.
So this would be a 1-year service agreement?
That's a 1 year.
So if, say, 3 years from now, it changes, can we use the Flock hardware and tie that to a different service provider?
We don't own that.
No, it is a subscription. It's, you're
it's
basically
everything.
leasing the cameras, yeah.
Camera and service?
We're paying for the service.
So we'd have to switch it out completely?
Right.
Okay. But
Okay.
we're not locked in, so we could,
That's right.
if something else better came along, which was another
Which
question I had.
which is really a great thing as far as government is concerned, because it's a 1-year commitment, it's not a 10-year contract. So
Okay.
So
and
is the
you're dealing with the
reverse,
technology field, which,
Okay.
you know, next year, who knows?
I was going to say, is there an incentive to sign up for 3 years and get it for 2,000?
No, as far as I know, they don't offer that. I would have to refer you back to Flock to find out specifically, but as far as we're concerned, we did a year-to-year contract with the sheriff's department.
That's all they sent me was a year. That was it.
That's all that I know of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Hamilton County, are you working with Terrace Park? Are you working with Indian Hill? Things on 126 on down further and so on that would go piggyback on?
I think Kim is gonna.
Yeah, I'll
between
reach
the
out
two
to
of
them.
you,
Don't
yeah.
worry about that. I will
I know,
absolutely
but
reach
it's all
out.
under the sheriff's auspices here, as
Well,
far as
Mike
I'm
and I will
concerned.
work it out together with
Okay.
them.
And I know it's been discussed at HCPA meetings, so as agencies are coming on board with this or getting interested, we're all realizing like, hey, you know, if Madeira and Sycamore are looking at this, you know, there's definitely some spots it makes sense to talk about. Like, you know, if there's a
Okay.
2-lane road that straddles your your township and this village, like we'll hit one side, you hit another. You know, if we all share access to the same data,
I applaud
that just
that.
makes a lot of sense.
I do applaud.
So, and I know Major Cattleman had spoken to Loveland's new chief at the last HCPA function. You know, they said, you know, we'll have to sit down and talk before we deploy any cameras. Make sure we're not duplicating each other's efforts.
Right, and I said the same thing to Dave Kennedy, I've said the same thing to Dina with Indian Hill, the same thing to Brian at Montgomery, told him, you know, hey, we gotta work together.
Yeah,
So,
Okay. All right.
7 or 8,
No more-
5,
no
whatever
more-
you want.
I
No
think
more
they
than
need
eight.
to.
we
they
can,
need to
I was gonna
talk
say
with
the three of us could get
jurisdictions
together and
give us a
then
recommendation.
come up with a plan.
Well, just, I mean, you and I still have the list of locations we talked about, and
Okay.
we'll just have to prioritize those.
Okay,
Right,
And, you know, I have that list at the office, and, you know,
okay.
we'll just sit which
Maybe,
is the
maybe
most.
we could, like, go over that list, because I remember we circled them on a map, and then we kind of were like, okay, this makes sense, but maybe we need to do a field.
yeah.
Well, and I know, another thing too is, and the cabinet can talk about this, we originally the cabinet statement came to us as the district commander and said, you know, where would you like where would you like to see cameras? And we provided him lists, and I know a number of the ones that I provided you, for one reason or another, when Flock went out there, those locations didn't work, whether it was, you know, like trees blocking, you know, for the solar power. So that list, you know, some things may change down the road depending on the logistics of each site. So, you know, it may be like, hey, this was a big priority for us, but it just, like that spot you were talking about, Mason
So the
Montgomery
tree
Road,
goes.
it just didn't work at that point, you know.
And I
At
would
that
like,
time.
since this is our first year, I would like to stay a little bit conservative to see what kind of data we get for the first year, and then maybe expand it out next year, add a few more
Okay.
cameras. I mean, if we cover like the basics this year, I don't know what they're feeling, but, and then let's see what kind of data we're getting. If it's really helpful in Symmes Township, maybe adding more cameras. So
Okay.
something like that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay.
all right.
Because we might find that nobody drives through Symmes Township.
Well, that was
Or you might find that everybody drives through Symmes Township,
Oh,
so
that-
we need a lot more. We don't know,
That just
because we've
reminded
never
me.
been put out there before.
I think you'd be surprised,
Oh, I
because
know.
That-
really the only way to sometimes get to Loveland is you gotta drive through Symmes Township.
Yeah.
That just reminded me, I did have a question and then it went. Yes, if we were to sign a resolution, and I don't see one on board tonight,
just
so
discussion.
we're thinking January, right?
Yeah, I can put
Okay.
it on the January
How
one
long
if
will
we
it
can
take to
agree.
get these in effect?
The turnaround time for installation is pretty quick. They have someone come out to the site within 2 weeks.
Okay.
They do the notification for the underground utility locating, so make sure that they're not gonna stick a pole
Who
through.
pays for that?
Flock does.
Okay.
Yeah, they
All
they
right.
handle all the installation.
Okay.
We had our 25 cameras installed within 4 weeks
Okay.
of getting them to sign
I
contract.
So-
just want to make sure real fast, we're not going to stick it in front of some, even though I know it's on the median and it's not, it's in the right of way, but we're not sticking it in like anybody's front yard.
Oh,
Like the
no.
pole.
No, we're
I mean,
looking
It's in the
it'll
right
be
of way.
like, you
They
know,
have-
if
has
someone
to
lives
be in
on
the
a
right of
main
way.
street, it's not
Yeah.
going to be
Right,
like.
if you look at,
Okay. I
like
just
some
want
of
to make sure
those,
that
I
we don't offend anybody.
was gonna say on one of those pages.
We're not putting one in your front yard.
So you can see
Yeah.
my ins and outs.
Yeah.
So in one of the-
That's down the road.
I might be the,
So in your packet, like it shows all the different ways that they can be
Okay.
incorporated. So what they do is they look for existing poles that
Okay.
it could work on in an intersection.
okay.
And if it doesn't work that way, then I think that's how we ended up with the black pole on Fields Erdel at Gregory, because it didn't work on any of the other poles.
And it's just slightly larger than the tripod supports for the cameras in here. They're not eyesores by any means.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. What else you need from us? That was the discussion. We don't have a resolution. We'll have it in January.
No, I will bring you guys a resolution. I just wanted to get
Okay.
your feedback, because I didn't want to stick it on a thing and then you guys not like the idea,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
I'd just be interested in, you know, if you could keep us updated on your conversations with the surrounding jurisdictions
Sure.
and what
Okay.
the ultimate recommendation will be.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
we'll work with them.
If we don't get this thing done till the end of the first quarter, we're only going to pay 3/4 of the bill, or this is a rolling 1-year contract.
That I don't.
Ours is a rolling 1 year. We didn't start till June. So
Okay.
we go June to June.
Okay, so if we started April 1st to April 1st, our budgetary would probably all come out of 2023, right?
Oh, yeah.
First set.
You're
Got
still
it.
only paying once, yeah, one
Okay,
time.
got it, understand, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have a nice new year.
Happy New Year. Be safe.
Okay, I move approval of Resolution G 2020-129, resolution amending Resolution PR 9301, adopting rules and regulations for Symmes Township parks.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2022-130, resolution amending rules and regulations and revising fee schedule for Symmes Township cemeteries.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2022-131, resolution adopting the final review and expenditures. Did I say something wrong?
Revenue.
What did I say?
Review.
Oh, revenue and expenditures for Symmes Township for fiscal year 2022.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
I move to accept a resignation from Brent Scott.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call? Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
I move approval of Resolution G 2022-128, resolution approving pay adjustment for township employees for fiscal year 2023.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call?
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
I'm, no executive session, so I move to adjourn.
Second. Phil got it.
Roll call?
Mr. Beck?
Aye.
Ms. Lees?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Thank you.
So